Hey guys, this is Jamal with Gospel Musicians coming at you, and I wanted to do this video. Very important video. One of the things that keeps musicians from actually achieving their goals is comparing themselves to other musicians. It is a very daunting task being a musician because our quote unquote people that we look up to, the people that we listen to, are such on another level that when we begin to play our instrument and in our heads we don't sound like that guy and we want to sound like that guy, you totally forget the fact that you already sound good. Okay, so I'll share a story. This is one time that I got really embarrassed. I have performance anxiety. It's always been there. I get really nervous, and then it gets to a point that I almost shut down. Like my fingers sometimes. Yeah, yes, I'm telling you, sometimes my fingers just like, oh, and I get really nervous, with performance anxiety. It's been something that I dealt with for a long time. And so there was one time I was getting started with the keyboards, and I think I had to been maybe 16, 17 years old, and it was a big old concert at Holy Trinity. Everybody, those of you who are in Akron who know back in the 90s, Holy Trinity Methodist Church, there was like tons of concerts there along with Mount Liberty Baptist Church, which, all the musicians was there, like the top musicians, the older guys. And mind you, I'm still learning. And, we were about to leave, and God Be With You. That was the song. It was like, God Be With You. Very easy song. Dun, 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 dun. It's really just six or so chords. God be with you till we meet the again in the five. Down, dun, 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 dun. Yes, and then the four, and then the diminish, then the one. So it was really easy song. All right, so all the musicians were there, and I froze, and she started singing it. And I literally froze, and I just couldn't find the key. And the person singing was looking at me like I was crazy. And the musicians everywhere else was looking at me like I was crazy. And the most embarrassing thing was there was a musician in the audience that had perfect pitch. And he was doing this, and he was like, A flat. She was actually in A flat. She was like, A flat, A flat. And then I finally picked it up, and it was just, I froze because everybody was there, and then they started laughing at me and stuff like that. That would have been enough for me to never play the keys ever again. But there was just a perseverance in me that was like, you know what? I'm playing because I love to play, man. I'm playing because God gave me the gift, and I didn't think I was going to play anyway. So let me just see how far this thing goes. And look at it now on gospelmusicians.com. And so I wanted to share this because there's never a story where somebody, I don't have that story where, man, I just went in the closet and asked the Lord to help me to play, and I came out, and a week later, man, I was playing for a church. Like, that's not my testimony. So if anybody had an opportunity to say, man, this is crazy, like, after experiencing that, I should have just hung it up. But it was just a perseverance and a stubbornness in me. And so you have to understand something, that whatever your gift is for somebody else. It may not be this level of musician, it may not be this level of musician, but what you have to offer is enough. And nobody's going to deliver it like you. No one's going to play it like you. No one's going to structure the chords like you. I remember one of the most humbling experiences was there was a cousin of a top musician. So I had a musician reach out to me. He's like, yo, man, I got this guy, man. He absolutely loves you. Can I, he's the cousin of so-and-so. I won't say the person's name. And this cousin is one of the top musicians in the world, top gospel musicians. And he came to me. He's like, look, bro. He's like, oh, thank you for taking my call. He said, I want to play like you. I want your chords. And I was like, bro, but your cousin is blah, 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 so and so. He's like, I know. He was like, but I want your style. I like your chords. I like the way you play. I like how you play that type of style. because I hear this type of style all the time, but I want to play like you. And that was humbling. And that made me realize, okay, there's somebody out there for you. There's a person out there that loves the way you teach, loves the way you talk, loves the way you articulate it. They like your jokes. They like your quirkiness. Like they like your corniness. They just like your stuff. So never think there's no audience out there that will receive from your stuff. Never think that your abilities are not good enough. And then as gospel musicians, you have to understand something. And I'm saying this humbly. The average gospel musician is better than most. I mean, look what we have to go through. I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, we have a catalog of hundreds and thousands of songs in our head that we memorize, and we can play it exactly like the album right now. Like if you told me to play Jesus is Real right now, hey, bro, we having a throwback concert, Jamal. We playing Jesus is Real. We're gonna play Hezekiah Walker. We about to do some Mississippi Mass Choir. Like, I would have to rehearse a little, but I don't have to relearn the song. Because that's just how we do it. So the average gospel musician is already heads and shoulders above many musicians because of the style. You can't just wake up in the morning and say, I'm gonna play gospel music. Like you literally to really play it, you gotta like be at a church for some years to play it the right way. Like for example, I remember like I'm here in Florida, so it's a lot of Puerto Ricans, and every now and then we would go to like a half gospel, half Spanish church, and then we would have to play salsa, or we would have to throw that in, and I'll throw it in and I'll play it, but everybody knows that it don't sound like a real Puerto Rican playing it. It don't sound like a real Latino playing it. It sounds like a black guy playing Latino music. You know what I'm saying? And that's nothing wrong with that. It's like, yo, bro, you know they give you the little curse. You doing decent. That's decent. That's decent style, you know. Yeah, but let me show you how we do it here. You gotta listen to the clave, bro. You know what I mean? So it's just a thing that, you know, never feel. I was always the guy that just didn't get picked up. Always the guy that got left out. Always the guy that just didn't fit with the crowd. Either I didn't speak ghetto enough, or I spoke too proper, or, you know, in the black community, I was too light skinned. I wasn't hood enough, and then I wasn't this enough. And then, you know, my chords was just like, yo, why are you playing all them neo soul jazz chords? Because that's what I like. So then that was a whole thing. So and then people was like, well, why are you going to school to be an engineer if you're a musician? Like, why are you doing it? I don't get it. So I was always the weird dude. And then when it came to reading the Bible, I would disagree with pastors because I'd be like, well, this ain't really in the scripture. So, dude, I was always the weird dude. If I let that get in the way, there would be no, you know, MK Sensation. There would be no, you know, urban worship extreme. There would be no, I look back at those videos now and I cringe like, oh my God, did I play like that? Oh my gosh, them chords is whack. Like if I look back now compared to today, I was like, oh my gosh, did I release that? Oh my gosh, but thousands and hundreds of thousands of musicians have been blessed by those wacko chords back in the day, or those tritones back in the day. And so if I had never done that, there may not be a Brian or another Jamal or a Jason, or, you know, you know what I mean? A Byron. And there, it may not never been that guy playing the keys if I sat back and said, well, everybody's just better than me, and I just keep comparing myself, so I might as well not even do it because I ain't good enough. All right? So I wanted just to do that just to encourage you guys, man, that what God gave you is enough. It's enough. When we look at the parable of the talents, which is not, it was coincident that the word talent is our English word talent, but the talent was not, and back then it was a unit of measurement. It was a unit of measurement, gold. And the translation was the one was given one talent, and that was about $500,000. You know what I mean? So God gives liberally his currency to do stuff with. And remember, the guy that didn't use his talent, he just buried it. The Bible said that he was a wicked guy because he said the worst thing you could have done was put it in the bank. At least it would have earned interest, but you did nothing. And so when God comes back, it was like, well, why didn't you start the YouTube channel? Why didn't you do the production? Why didn't you play for a church? I just wasn't. He was like, at least you could have done was just played for your neighbors in the neighborhood and led praise and worship there. At least you would have encouraged people and led them to Christ. You know, just do your bare minimum. At least use your gift. If you stopped, if you're 50, 60, you always wanted to play, pick it back up. All right. So hopefully this encouraged you. Gospel musicians coming at you. Please subscribe. Please click on the notifications to get notifications. And please like, because it goes a long way. It helps. So gospel musicians, we're coming at you. Love you guys. Yep.